So in this video, I'm with Luke Curtis and we're going to be talking about an electronic press kit or an EPK and why you need one as a DJ or a producer. Hey, how's it going guys? It's John Holt here with The Audio Journey, and today I'm here with Luke Curtis, dance music photographer. I'm going to have some info about him in the description below, but he's very kindly come to talk to us today about an electronic press kit, what it is and why it's important for you as an electronic music producer, DJs, of anyone that's doing something creative. So Luke, thank you very much for coming. It's really cool to have you here.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, John. I appreciate it.
So what is an electronic press kit?
So an electronic press kit is basically your CV as an entertainer. So what it will house is all of your crucial assets that will help you be identified, in terms of your own branding, but also your music and your whole profile as an artist. Now, an EPK can be kind of misleading to a certain degree because people will see an EPK as a one-pager. A one-pager forms a part of the whole EPK system.
Okay.
So what I would advise is if you look at an EPK as sort of the umbrella, within that you should have things like your logo, a description of your bio, your discography, your press images, and then access to your social media, and then what we call a one-pager. Okay. So a one-pager is effectively your CV. Yeah. Now, all of those should sort of interlink into each other. The best way to do it this day and age with the technology we have available to us is like a cloud storage system. But in summary, it's your press kit, and how it's used is to give to publicists or to potential bookers. So, your EPK will land on their desk and they will decide whether they want to write a feature on you or whether they want to book you, or they have come across you and they want to produce some content and they will ask for a press kit. And the idea of the press kit is to have some control over your brand, basically. Amazing.
That makes a lot of sense. So I think what I'd like to tackle is sort of when you would need this, sort of at what stage in your career, and then sort of what it would include. So say I'm an aspiring DJ, I've been making music for a couple of years, I'm getting tunes to a standard where I'm starting to send them out, maybe it's getting support from some DJs, I'm like, right, I want to start making some proper music, looking to get releases on labels, and I want to get better bookings. Where should you start in terms of building your EPK?
I think once you've made the decision, that you want to start playing out commercially, as I would call it, that's basically going to events and playing more and potentially maybe looking at being paid. I think that, once you've reached that point, you should have a press kit. Now, that press kit can be a limited version in terms of where it'll eventually end up, but you should have something to start off with. I would always, the analogy I'd give is imagine turning up to a job interview with no CV, or your CV written in crayons. You want to be as best presented as you possibly can from the offset, because what will happen, and what tends to happen a lot in the music industry, is you start to have success and then all of a sudden you need these things immediately, and not having them you miss huge opportunities. So someone may want to write a feature on you because they've just heard about some of the success you've been having. If you don't have that press kit, you've lost out on an opportunity for exposure, which is absolutely vital as an artist. So I would say as early as possible, but it doesn't have to be as complex as some of the ones you will see from internationally touring DJs as such.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, not turning up to a job interview without a CV or a resume. You're not even going to get through the door, are you?
Exactly, and that's the way you need to look at it. I will always describe it as it's your CV as an entertainer. It's as simple as that.
That's really, really cool. So what would be, even before that, would it be a case of getting some photos done? Would it be a case of getting a bio written by a copywriter or something like that?
So I think, the absolute bare basics you should have. A logo is something that can come later on, of course, but I think the bare basics is a bio and some press images. Now, your press images, you can, if you've got a friend who's got a camera or a family member that's got a camera, it's very easy to take simple images. You don't have to go and do replicate a photo shoot of a massively global touring DJ. Their profile is huge, they have the budget to afford these things. You need a very simple sort of headshot effectively, and anyone can take that on a mobile phone or on a camera. Try to avoid the cliche things such as pictures with your headphones or standing with your decks in a graffiti tunnel. That stuff it's been over engineered quite a lot, and I think just keep it very simple. And allow your music and also the bio, your story, your narrative to do the rest of the talking. So images, so press images, and a bio. When it comes to a bio, you suggested a copywriter. it's very difficult for most people to write comfortably about themselves and be very self-promoting in a way that doesn't seem egotistical and whatnot. So I would say try to get somebody else to write it for you. If you don't have the budget, again, you know, look at somebody who, you know, has performed really well in English, you know, in English subjects and stuff, and ask them, you know, can you write about me in third person or something along those lines. I think always try to avoid doing it yourself, and in terms of how that information is received, I don't think it works very well. So yeah, the basic would be press images and some copy written by someone with experience.
Awesome, that does make sense. And just as in case people aren't familiar, like a copywriter is someone that just writes words and text.
Correct,
and writes it in an engaging way. So off the top of my head there, I'm sure there's places like Fiverr.com.
Yeah, Fiverr would be a great source. Fiverr would be amazing. You can put it in there. And what should happen is, in terms of the protocol for doing this, a good copywriter with experience in this field, they will tend to have kind of a template. So they will ask you a series of questions and you will then fill in those blanks. You're not writing the bio, you're just supplementing them with enough information so they can structure this narrative, and that will give them everything they need to produce this. And early on in your career, you know, it's very important to be very honest. You know, if you played in a club next to a headline DJ, you didn't warm up for that DJ. You have to be really clear in terms of like what you have and haven't achieved. So be very truthful. And if you haven't done a lot, talk about what inspires you and what aspirations you have. That's what should form the body of the bio, I guess.
Yeah. And I guess your style, because if it's going out to, I don't know, people for certain publications or people looking to fill a certain event, and you're saying like, I'm massively into like disco, or I'm massively into breakbeat, or something a bit more interesting.
You're not going to get booked for drum code.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, being quite specific about your style. That makes a lot of sense. So would you say that you've seen any glaring errors in people's EPKs, or like first sets of EPKs?
Yeah, one of the biggest things I always find with EPKs is people, you know, this is very DIY. You can pay, you know, I run an agency and we can provide all these services for you, or you can go off and do it. Like my YouTube channel openly talks about it. The resources are there. You can go and do it for yourself. One of the biggest shortfalls that people do is in the one pager, which is effectively your CV. The way the one pager looks is you'll have, you know, a picture of you, this bio, links to your social media. The one thing that people always forget to do is have a link back to the cloud storage system with all of those assets.
Okay.
So the idea is your one pager will be put in an interactive PDF, and you can send that from your mobile phone anywhere in the world, and everyone has access to that. Now, on its own, it's okay, it's great. But without access to your photos, your bio in text, you know, your logos, it's kind of redundant. It looks pretty, but doesn't really serve a purpose for a publicist. So if you are doing a one-pager, make sure there is a link to your Dropbox or your Google Drive folder that has your photos and these limits, because, you know, what you basically need to do is this one-pager lands on somebody's desk. They can then easily find any other assets they need to be able to book you or to be able to write about you. If it isn't there, they'll find someone else to work with, and that's one of the biggest things I always see. I always say, okay, great, one pager looks amazing, where are the rest of the assets? Oh, I didn't put it in, like, so.
Oh yeah, don't worry, I'll send it over.
I'll send another link, and you're like, well, you defeated the object. Like, the one pager should just be very slick, you know.
That makes a lot of sense. And I guess the best way to imagine that is, say you are an article writer for DJ Mag or someone, and you're looking for new artists to write about. If you've got someone's EPK there who's been sending it in for a while, they know that they've got access immediately to high-res images and a document with your text. It's going to be so easy to write about you.
Exactly, and it's, you know, it's all about looking at how that content is used. You know, how these sort of writers, copyright publishers take this information and use it. The easier you can make it for them, the higher the probability they will use it. You know, so you have to think about, yes, it's about you and your personality and how it looks and the branding, but think about how it's going to be used. And humans are inherently lazy, so you have to make it as simple and as streamlined for possible for everyone as well, and make sure everything's interactive. So every link you have on your one pager is interactive. So if your email address is on there, when they click it, it populates your email and then has the title of you as a DJ. If you've got your social media, they all link. So many times I see PDFs that are not interactive, and it's like you know, people will then not go and type your details in a web browser. They want a very clean transition period for all of those hyperlinks.
You got to make it as frictionless as possible,
Exactly.
especially when you're trying to get a foot in the door.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so important to do.
And the impact of doing that and taking these precautions, or sort of taking these steps, is when it does land on these people's desks who deal with this day in and day out, you're seen so much more professionally. People are like, this guy means business, you know. I'm not chasing him for paperwork or chasing him for images or chasing her for images. People, you know, it's professional, and people always love to deal with professionals, and it will do wonders for your profile. They'll just want to continue to work with you.
That's amazing. So people can find a lot more information about EPKs on your channel?
Yes, yeah, so I've got a couple of videos talking about EPKs, and I also have a breakdown of Loco Dice's EPK. So Loco Dice is a globally touring, sort of in high demand DJ, and it's a breakdown of his EPK and what elements are in there and how you can look at that and take bits away for yourself to use in your own EPK. So they're all available on my channel, and hopefully we'll pop those links in the summary below.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Cool. Is there anything else in terms of offerings, in terms of the agency you were talking about and your photography?
Yeah, so my heritage is a dance music photographer. I started off shooting in nightclubs, and then that brought me into close proximity to DJs, which then led me to being a portrait DJ photographer or a press shot photographer. And then off the back of that, a lot of people were booking me for press shots, and you know, I realised very quickly that the photos played a very small part in what they were trying to achieve.
Okay.
And a lot of it is about, you know, being presentable as an artist. So I set up an agency called Platform 808, and we look at helping grassroots and aspiring artists to make sure they have all of these assets in place, you know, and educate you on these things, because as you're new, your priority is going to be learning how to make and play music, and all of a sudden you then have this commercial world of branding and all these different ways to present yourself. And that's not it shouldn't be your forte really. Your focus should be on music. So we started this agency where we can help you source a bio, do your images, do your logo, and we can also host your profile as well. So what that effectively gives you is, if you didn't want to go and pay for your own website or your own domain, things like that, we can host you as an artist on the platform. So then if you're trying to get bookings or trying to get publicity, you just send a link to your profile landing page, and it has all of the assets divvied down and in a language that is understandable based on the work I've done in the music industry with the likes of DJ Mag, Mix Mag, people like that. So yeah, so if anyone's got any questions on that, they can follow the link and check out some of the work. That would be amazing. And I'm always happy to answer any questions that anyone will ever have.
Amazing. So we're going to have a lot of information about Luke down in the description below, the bits that we've talked about. Highly recommend going and checking out his channel. It's got some really, really cool assets on there that are going to be so helpful for you, like Loco Dice's EPK. That's amazing to have a breakdown of. Definitely go and check him out. Check out Platform 808 photography, and you're also at a lot of events around the UK, around the world, ADE.
Yes, yeah, so I do the fair rounds and have the huge privilege of being able to talk at some of these. So I work really closely with IMS, so that's International Music Summit, which was set up by Pete Tong and Danny Whittle and Ben Graffite, who are very influential in the music industry. So yeah, I get the opportunity to talk about branding from DJs' perspectives in an environment that's very familiar to DJs and stuff. And yes, I will be at ADE, which is pretty exciting. Got some work to do as well, and I will probably enjoy some of the parties too, which is good.
That's good to hear. Amazing. So this is part of a series of videos, so we're going to have a link to the playlist in the description below. Really hope you've enjoyed this, guys. Thanks again to Luke. I hope you've enjoyed this.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No worries.